Okay, so this video is going to be brief, to the point, and a little angry. No, very angry. The rebels in Syria, who are being funded and armed by the Western powers, namely the United States and the European Union, have murdered an Orthodox bishop and his assistant. It's not clear to me whether this assistant is a priest or a layman. It's also not clear to me whether the murdered hierarch is Archbishop Johanna of the Syriac Church, Metropolitan Paul of the Greek Church, or perhaps some third unknown bishop. In any case, please continue your prayers for both of those hierarchs, Paul and Johanna, as they may still be. Well, one of them is definitely still alive. They may both still be alive. And they are, whichever one or both of them are still alive, is still in the captivity of the Syrian rebels. Now, anyway, I'll link to the story below about the brutal beheading with a combat knife of these two Orthodox Christians, one of them a bishop, by Syrian rebels funded and armed by the United States government and those of the Western European powers, or at least the Western European powers have now lifted their embargo on arms to the Syrian rebels. And I have this to say. I expect this kind of brutality from Muslims. They have been doing it for a long time. And they did it in Egypt, and they've been doing it in Syria since long before we got involved. This is why I've always supported Assad. However, to see these savages funded by our own governments and opposed only by one country, the last country in Christendom, Russia. Russia is the last country in Christendom. Russia is the only resistance. To see these people funded and armed by our own governments and opposed only by Russia confirms to me that the Cold War good guy, bad guy mentality needs to be reversed. Russia is on the side of the angels now. And if there's a bad guy on the international political scene, it's the United States government and her allies. We are the ones who are supporting these Arab Spring uprisings. And while these uprisings may bring democracy to the Middle East, they certainly will not bring a tolerance for diversity, and they will not aid the position of the Christians there in the slightest. And there will be a great many Muslims who will suffer from it too. The Shiites don't have it much better in Syria at the moment than do the Christians under the Sunni rebels. We have a president who I think can fairly be described as a Morisco. That is to say, he has recent Muslim heritage, and his loyalty to Christendom is doubtful at best and non-existent, more realistically. But even in Europe, our leaders are dhimmis. Most of them are not Muslims. In fact, I don't know that any of the major leaders in the European powers are Muslims, or even Moriscos like our president, but they are supporting these savages. So many years to Vladimir Putin, who is the only one who is opposing them. But our foreign policy can be informed. There are two possibilities. Our foreign policy is either informed by a level of denial that can only be described as insane as to what's actually going on in Syria, or it's explicitly satanic. This is the goal, that they want the Christians in Syria destroyed. Now, I think either one is plausible, to be honest with you, given the progressive movement's known hostility toward Christianity, and also its remarkable capacity for self-deception. I'll leave it to you to judge whether our leaders are insane, satanic, or both. But other than that, I don't know what to say. Except wake the hell up, America. Okay? Because your leaders are not the good guys anymore. Russia's not the bad guys anymore. It's all backwards. It's all upside down. America's not part of Christendom. America doesn't support Christendom. We are not any longer, if we ever were, a Christian nation. And our foreign policy is unspeakably evil. So, for these two men, I have this to say, and this only. A moment. O good Lord, remember thy servants, the murdered bishop and his assistant, and forgive them all in which they have transgressed in their lives, for only thou art without sin, and canst grant rest to the departed. In thy divine wisdom and love for mankind, thou bestowest all things, and providest for all the needs of man. O Creator, rest the souls of thy servants, the murdered bishop and his murdered assistant, who have placed their hope in thee, O Lord, the Fashioner and Creator and our God. Among the saints, O Christ, rest the souls of thy servants, where there is neither pain nor grief nor sighing, but life everlasting, and may their memory be eternal. Avenging